So there's lots to talk about with the vampire scene in Saltburn, so I'm going to break down some interesting things. For starters, the first line said in this scene, when Oliver is coming down the steps, he's silhouetted in a shadow. Venetia says, well, you're presumptuous. And it's interesting because the last line said before that is a line by Elspeth where she says, you're so perceptive to Oliver. So we get two descriptions of Oliver right in a row. Now that whole conversation that Oliver had with Elspeth is him sort of tricking her into thinking that Pamela was actually lying, which I never got the vibe that Pamela was actually lying. I thought she was actually a pretty pitiable character. So Oliver essentially, after doting on Elspeth by calling her so beautiful, then feeds her ego by saying, oh yeah, Pamela was lying. And then Elspeth immediately agrees with him, saying, oh yeah, you're right. And then she says, Oliver, you're so perceptive. Now, I think what she's really saying here is that she herself, Elspeth, is perceptive, and Oliver proves the point that she's so perceptive because she was already doubting Pamela. So this isn't really a compliment to Oliver from Elspeth so much as it is a boosting of her own ego by Oliver calling out what she was already thinking and helping her to feel, I don't know, correct about that. So that's the scene before where Oliver gets the information about Venetia's eating disorder. Then we go to this scene where the first line is once again a description of Oliver, Venetia saying, you're so presumptuous about his coming down to her. And he says, well, you're in a see-through nightgown under my window. So, and her response to that is, and this is really important, she says, it's my house. I can go wherever I want. For me, that is the moment where this probably becomes more of an appealing moment for Oliver to do what we then see him do on screen to Venetia and call himself a vampire. It is this idea of being able to do whatever you want at Saltburn and showing that he too already has that mentality. He can go where he wants. He can do what he wants. She says, oh, it's not the right time of the month. He says, well, it's lucky for you I'm a vampire, which is, of course, kind of funny foreshadowing about what ends up happening. Also, we see a little bit of her blood in the tub on his mouth when he's bathing. We then see all of it in this scene after she has decided to unalive herself. Or, as is implied, perhaps it was Oliver who did it. So breaking down this scene for me, I think the most interesting details are the dialogue that happens both in the scene beforehand and in the scene. This becomes another moment towards the middle to end of the film where we're starting to see Oliver assert himself. He demands that Venetia keep her food down, which I think is a real power moment for him. And the interesting thing about this film is that every time Oliver has a power moment, they immediately have a moment where the power is pulled from him. It happens at the karaoke scene. It happens right at that breakfast after he did this with Venetia, where Farley is implying that he knows about it and starts making jabs at Oliver. We have it in the scene where Oliver tries to sleep with the woman who wants to get with Felix, but then when Oliver says, yeah, I don't even think he's going to notice, he won't be jealous, she just leaves. So we have this recurring moment where Oliver keeps seeing himself asserting his power by having the rug pulled out from under him. Honestly, it's a plot device to keep the viewer more engaged. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that scene. Take it or leave it. Let me know what you think.